Joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, former East Carolina pitcher Danny Beal. Hello, Danny.
What's going on?
Man, everything.
It's March. I'm so excited.
I just can't wipe this smile, this S-eating grin off my face with all the basketball going on. Pirates playing tonight. It all comes down to this.
9 p.m. Eastern.
4 days in March.
Yeah, ever heard of it?
That's all you got to do. Can you win? Thinking about like how basketball season, you play for 4 months or whatever plus, and it comes down to a few days. Baseball, somewhat similar. Like if you're East Carolina, you're playing for an opportunity to put yourself in a good spot to advance in postseason, but really it comes down to what you do in the conference tournament.
Yeah.
Unless you put yourself in a good spot. Football, your season can be ruined in 1 week.
I was just about to say, that's what I appreciate about basketball and baseball more is like you can lengthen the season. It's weird with the bigger your conference is, you have to actually make the conference tournament now.
Yeah.
But back in the day when everybody made it, it's like you could have – it's not realistic. Like the Sun Belt tournament where you have to win 7 games in 7 days, like it's not going to happen. But like the teams like that where it takes – like State last year where they won 5 games in 5 days, it's not realistic. But in football – you lose 1 week to a random team, it's like, yeah, well, the season's over now. There's nothing to play for.
The years run together for me, but before you got here, Danny, Cliff, one of his teams just really struggled and
17,
nearly
almost
won it all at down in Clearwater.
He's told us that it is the greatest thing that ever happened to him as a coach and as like a culture of the team was losing that game against Houston. Which is crazy to think about.
I've heard that too. I hear what he's saying, but I wish they would have won. And maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Knowing everything that I know about that team and about what he said, it is obviously a good thing because I don't think we'd be where we are today if they had won and he'd gotten comfortable.
All right, Danny, you've been there. You roll your eyes at some things that are said about ECU baseball by fans and fat people like me. But I was talking to a guy Monday at trivia. And I was like, all right, man, I'll go ahead and tell you this. If ECU doesn't go at least 4-1 this week, I'm going to allow you to hit the panic button, and I will not criticize you. Would that be fair to say?
To hit the panic button?
Yeah, if they didn't go 4-1.
It's March. What are we talking about?
All right.
But to start this week, we were one game. I mean, again, I hate like the comparison to 2022, but everybody makes it because we started playing like crap that year. We're one game off the pace of that year. And then everybody's like, oh, well, we're getting guys healthy. Everybody's coming back. It is the second week in March. If you are still freaking out, like, stop watching. Like, you're so, like, up tense because you have such a high expectation. Like, what we've done the last few years is not the way it is everywhere. Like,
I know. You're a victim of your own success almost.
And it's, like, people that are freaking out and hitting the panic button or even looking at the panic button, like, dude, grow up. Seriously.
All right, fine. No panic button.
Like, all right, if we were to go get swept by William and Mary, okay, there's a dialogue. But
it's time to start a dialogue.
There's a dialogue. But, again, it's not going to happen, and it's like, relax.
Well, the last 2 days, Pirates did what they needed to do.
Curb stomping.
And that is, just blow out VCU. And, man, I wish I was talking to a hitter because I want to – but I could ask you, I guess, from the pitcher standpoint, like, when guys are as wild as VCU was, that's got to make it tough on a hitter because you're almost expecting to get one in your eyeball.
It's like Little League. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Like 5 straight walks. Like that shouldn't happen in Division I college. That team was in a regional last year. That's what's crazy to me. Like they were in our regional. Like it's just crazy.
I forgot about that. Yeah, they looked pitiful.
Now they lost their coach and they had a bunch of transfers come in, so it's not the same team obviously, but it's still just like I don't know. It goes to show how up and down a season can be because they played Carolina close a couple weeks ago, but it's like I don't know, man. They just had a bag 2 couple days, and 2 back-to-back midweeks are tough on anybody. And when you don't have a lot of pitching like they clearly didn't have, it was just we were wearing on them and putting good at-bats together. So
not a lot of these 5-game weeks, but when you have one, talk about just what the doctor ordered. Nick, is it Moran?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yesterday,
huge.
5 innings. I love that from a midweek.
Yeah, lefty just carving, literally throwing it wherever he wanted. Not super overpowering stuff, but just dotting corners, throwing it where it was called. And it was one hit.
Yeah.
He only punched out like 3, so it's not like he was just blowing dudes away. Like he was putting the ball in play, letting his defense work, and he only had a walk. So he was special yesterday, and that's exactly what they needed going into the weekend too. You need guys to give you length, and Jaden did a great job Tuesday too. Jaden pitched well. Obviously, the first inning wasn't great, but after that, he settled in pretty well and gave the staff some length there.
Is this the first time we've talked since Norby had 19 strikeouts? I think it is.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that was. I texted him after, and I'm sure his head was as big as you could possibly make it. I wasn't around, but I'm sure he was, because he got put on Pitching Ninja. And I was talking to Jake, and I was like, did he bring up that he was on Pitching Ninja? He's like, he brings it up every 10 minutes. And I'm like, I would too. I mean, being on Pitching Ninja is not for everybody. It's special stuff.
I saw Connor say he'll
he's never going to live that down.
Live it down, but I mean, I'm happy for him.
It was, even Trey was like, this is something like I've never, I mean, because we were in the middle of it, we had an alumni group chat like I've mentioned before, and we were talking about it, and he struck out everybody the first time through, and I'm questioning. I'm like, what is the record for strikeouts to start a game? And I think it was like 8, maybe, in the MLB with some Braves pitcher a few years ago. But either way, I mean, when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. And he even mentioned to me after, he's like, that was the easiest line I've ever pitched to. It was so weird. He was like, they were all off the plate. They weren't swinging at first pitches. And whenever I would spin, they just either wouldn't swing for a strike or swing over it. And I was like, he was unhittable. And then the next 2 days, they seemed like you couldn't get him out. So it was just a tale of, like I said, the up and down of a season. It was a tale of a couple games.
And I remember a few times Friday when East Carolina was batting, I said, all right, Blue, that's not a strike. But it was being called both ways. It was a wide zone.
Consistently bad, for sure.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to say it was bad. It hits his zone. It was just a very pitcher-friendly zone.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. How frustrating is that, Danny, when you, like, one day you're called in and that pitch on the outside corner is a strike, the next day it's not. Like, I mean, something you got to deal with, right?
Yeah, you got to get used to it. I mean, it's. I think we've done a really good job in the past. I'm sure they still do, of communicating it. So, like, if I were to come in the middle of an inning after Trey or Root, I would come back in the dugout and they would say, hey, here's what he was giving me. Here's what, you could try and see if he gives you off, especially with me being able to sink it. It was ability to see how much off the plate he would give me. It's the same thing that they do too. It's one day it's going to be, hey, he's giving white line to white line on the batter's box. The next day it's black to black on the plate. You got to throw it over if it's going to be a called strike. So it's just the communication aspect, and again, how baseball is different every day. So.
Yeah. Dan, I've asked you this before, Danny, but I know when Cliff goes out there, that means you're taking your butt to the dugout. But when AK goes out there, you got your glove over your
yeah.
What are those brief discussions about?
It's for me, I don't know how it was with Trey or anybody else or, like, I don't know, other relievers, but for me it was one of two conversations. It was a lot of expletives and figure it out, or hey, here's the situation, here's the pitch we're going to throw, you're good, lock it in. And it was never like, hey, here's the next couple. Like, it was, obviously we were talking about the hitters, but it was never like talking about anything else. It wasn't making jokes. It was always calm, like, here's the pitch we're going to throw, here's what we're going to execute, here's what we're going to look at, or hey, MF, or like, figure it out, or you're going to get taken out here in a couple hitters. Like, that's normally the way it went with him. But it's a smart relationship with him. That's why we're so close and it fed off each other.
Pirates home this weekend against William and Mary, trying to stack up some wins here. And then, is it AAC play next weekend?
Yeah, because SEC and ACC started last week, and SEC starts this weekend, so it's coming up.
Softball Pirates 3-0 in AAC play. We talked to some of them, their players yesterday. Morgan
UTSA,
Johnson,
right?
Emma Jackson, and
I've heard Emma Jackson can whack it.
Yeah, we had 20 home runs combined in the studio already yesterday with those three players. So they're playing well, and that is good to see. All right, DB. Mentioned Pirates playing tonight. UTSA trying to beat them. What other? You got, like, any conference tournament futures or anybody you're going to be following in the tournament next week?
I do have a Duke future, which is in jeopardy as we speak and record this because Cooper Flagg just got hurt. But other than that, just kind of daily keeping it day to day. I mean, I personally think championship week's better than the tournament because there's games that start at like so early. It's teams that know each other. They play each other so tough. There's teams that shouldn't win that win. Like, it is exciting, and I think it's to each their own. Like, people think the tournament's cool because it's teams that don't play each other normally, and there's upsets and stuff like that. But championship week for me, I wish the ACC tournament was still in Greensboro because I would be going to a lot of the games, which is where it should be. It shouldn't be in Charlotte. It should be in Brooklyn like the way it used to be. But SEC tournament's going to be great. I mean, I think Seth Greenberg said they're going to have every team, maybe one or two, not make the
So there
tournament.
was and Texas won yesterday.
Yeah, which
there was
helps
some
them out a
talk
lot.
a couple of days ago on a podcast I was listening to. They said it was a field of 68. Like 14 out of 16 SEC teams could make it
And
legitimately.
some of their records are bad. Like Vandy's I think Vandy's 8-10.
Well, Jarrett was looking at Oklahoma, who was like they have 6 conference wins or something like that.
But they're all quad one wins, so it's
Yeah.
like they're going to make it because every single team in the SEC is quad one. So it's like you can. I mean, Vandy was 19-13 when I was watching last night, or 20-12 or something like that before they lost. And Jay Billis was asked by Schulman. He was like, "Is Vandy in?" He's like, "Yeah, they've got 8 quad one wins, 7 more than Carolina's got." Like it's crazy because that is the deepest conference I think in college basketball I've ever seen since I've been alive.
14 out of 16 would be stupid. Like
yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but hell, it could. And it's so fun to listen. I was listening to Nadeau and his Bet US show, and then Pick Central and Barstool just this morning, early before the games got going. One of them said, Bet US said North Carolina's not in, even if they win today. Even if they beat Duke, they're still not in. They got to win the tournament.
Really?
And then the Pick Central says North Carolina's in. They're in with the win yesterday. So, like, I just love that it's all kind of up in the air for these bubble teams.
I think they're going to have to make it to the championship. I think if they make it to the championship game, no matter the result, unless they get blown out by like 30, I think they're in.
You know what would be weirder than North Carolina not getting in? North Carolina playing next Tuesday night in Dayton. Which could happen.
That would yes. I thought you were talking about the NIT. Yes, no. Imagine a UNC first 4 game, which is not unrealistic.
Yeah,
I mean they're probably if they were to make it realistically, they're probably 10-12, 10-13 range C-wise. Yeah. God, they would take over Dayton. That'd be crazy. Jeez Louise, that fan base would go nuts.
All right, DB, you going to games this weekend?
If I'm in town, yeah, I'm going to Charlotte or Pineville, tomorrow to throw some more, and then I'll be around potentially Sunday. Going to Wilmington for the weekend to hang out a little bit, but hopefully we can take care of business, finish off a 5-0 week, which would be huge for momentum heading in next week with some more midweek games, and then a conference play starting next weekend.
My final question was going to be, what is your life update as far as baseball goes?
Going good. Still going good. Still throwing. Nothing's really changed since the last couple of weeks. Waiting till the end of the month to figure out in terms of affiliate ball and stuff like that. That's kind of when they're, cutting guys, releasing guys, injured guys, assigning kids to teams, and that's when I'll kind of hopefully find my way in. And if not, we'll take the next steps and go on from there to figure out what I'm going to do. So,
all right, Dan Beal, thanks for joining us, man.
Yep, no problem, guys.